So Kevin Durant back tonight. That's the good news for the Nets. But how much should we expect? He's been out obviously quite a while. How much should we expect to see of him tonight against the Pelicans on ESPN?
Well, I would expect Kevin Durant to start for Brooklyn. Remember, the only time that he hasn't in his career is when he had that weird in-out of the lineup when he had some testing issues earlier this year. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him on a minutes restriction just based on how the Nets have been so cautious about bringing guys back, especially those who've had long layoffs. Now, Steve Nash did not talk this morning at shoot-around, but his teammate, Kevin Durant's teammate, Bruce Brown, said that Kevin Durant looks like the same old Kevin. I saw him shooting and working out a little bit on Monday, and he looked great. But I still think the Nets are going to err on the side of caution here. So you're probably not going to see the 35, 40-minute Durant in his first outing here.
So Kevin Durant comes back, James Harden out. We haven't seen the big three together. Any concerns about their chemistry and trying to figure out how to play situational basketball, how to close games out?
Well, if you ask them that question, they'll say yes, but not really. Basically, what the Nets are banking on is that they are talented enough basketball players that even though ideally Steve Nash, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden have all acknowledged that they wish they'd had more time, James Harden said, yes, obviously we want to have spent more than just maybe a month or a few weeks together before the playoffs so that we're battle tested. That's the only choice we have now. And so the mentality has to be we're going to need to learn on the fly, because not only is this not a team, like you said, the big three have only played 7 games together, including that game against the Raptors that I alluded to, where Kevin Durant wasn't actually able to play in the entire game. But since then, they've also added Blake Griffin. They've added LaMarcus Aldridge. All of these players have yet to have time together. And Steve Nash said, you know, one thing about new teams, sometimes first-year teams, they can't quite get to the point where they win it all simply for the reason that they don't have enough history together. They haven't battled through enough, athlete's favorite word, adversity together. And so they're hoping to get just a little bit of that beforehand. But what they're betting on is, look, we are so talented. We have so much talent on this team that we're going to be able to steamroll any lack of experience we have together solely based on that.
Yeah, it seems like they'll get their experience along the way, and for some teams that are that talented, it might be the only thing that matters. Bart and Hahn talking with Malika Andrews on the Goodyear Hotline. We're coming to you live from Seaport District at Pier 17, brought to you by Chase. So we already know, I already asked you about Kevin Durant, and we talked about just the big three in general, but with the James Harden out right now, what are the Nets saying about his availability after the 10 days are up, and what are the concerns for him?
Well, it's, you know, the 10-day stretch was just announced yesterday, so they're in a little bit of a wait-and-see mode, right? Because initially they were saying that James Harden was just experiencing some hamstring tightness, and the imaging that they conducted on his right hamstring didn't show any structural damage, which is why he was cleared, just based on how he was feeling, to come back and play those 4 minutes on Monday against the Knicks. Obviously, he wasn't feeling right. They had another MRI done, and that's what revealed the hamstring strain. And so now they're going to be operating out of, okay, how does this look 10 days from now? And that's something that they simply can't know yet. James Harden is a player who wants to be on the court every single time, probably more so than a lot of players in today's game. And Steve Nash has said, look, sometimes we need to protect this guy from himself because he is going to go out there no matter what. So they're going to try very hard to probably give James Harden as long as they can before they bring him back, because he's become so essential to this team. Initially, remember, he was thought of as a luxury ad, but he has become part of the glue in this team.
Now, you know, Zion on the other side of tonight's game is Zion is coming back, and he had an injury a little bit. But they're in striking distance of the Golden State Warriors, who seem to be a little bit disinterested about the playing game. Any minutes restrictions on Zion as they try and make this push to try and make a run at the playoffs?
Well, I mean, you know, Zion had a pretty impressive showing last night against the Hawks, even though they fell short. Because it's his thumb, it's a little bit more of a pass-fail. Is it feeling good? Is it not feeling good? And yesterday, Zion Williamson told me, he said, look, I felt like I could probably have come back. I felt like I was good, but I defer to the people whose job it is to keep me safe, and they were acting out of an abundance of caution here. So if he can have a game like he had last night, then perhaps we're going to have an interesting contest between the Nets and the Pelicans tonight. But like you said, he did miss those 3 games. He said he felt like he didn't miss a beat. Isaiah Thomas made his debut with the Pelicans last night. They have some interesting stuff going on over there. But, the Warriors did beat the Bucks. I know the Giannis-less Bucks, but they did. So there's some interesting stuff going on at the bottom of the West.
That's going to be a real interesting battle to see, really, the attrition between the Warriors and them sinking, and the Pelicans and Zion really trying to drag them into a postseason. So it'll be exciting. And that's what the 7-10 has brought for us, right, this season? That's what we're getting with that addition to the schedule.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.